the first trailer for Borderlands 3 came out, I was uncontrollably hyped. I mean, credit where it's due. Gearbox, they know how to fuel a hype train. Finally, after 5 years of waiting, a new Borderlands game. It's going to be the biggest yet. More guns, more planets, more vaults. And maybe we'll finally get an answer to some of those burning questions. Okay, I understand that some people think that all the Borderlands games have dumb stories. I don't think this is true, but I do get where people are coming from. I'm not one of these people. I love the Borderlands series. I count Borderlands 2 as one of my favourite games of all time. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the story is bad because it uses too many jokes and reference humour. Unfortunately, there will be people who flip this belief around and will say that the game is beyond criticism because it's not meant to be taken seriously. If you've played the game, then you know that's a lie, but I can't prove that without getting into spoilers, so just know that I'll be addressing that point later. So, with all the preamble out of the way, the story of Borderlands 3 is bad. Like, really bad, and I intend to explain why in excruciating detail. This isn't a review, and I will spoil the whole game, so consider this your warning. This video will be super long, and I intend to put time codes so you can jump to the sections you're interested in. For those of you who haven't played the game, here's a brief overview of the plot before we get started, though I'll assume you have an understanding of the previous games, so I can keep this relatively simple. There's a traditional plot setup, speech from Marcus, who tells you about the Vault Hunters and the new villains of the game, the Calypsos. Then we get a pretty cool cutscene introducing the playable characters. You pick your character and you get on the bus. The next scene is almost identical to the first game. Someone speaks to you in your head, you get off a bus, and Claptrap gives you a tutorial.
Hey, you must be the new recruit. I am a CL4PTT steward bot, but you can just call me General Claptrap of the Crimson Raiders.
Please accept this echo communication device.
Though it soon diverges, and you find your way fighting through a Children of the Vault base to save Claptrap. Lilith reveals herself, and after fighting off a few more bandits, claims the base for the Crimson Raiders. She tells you that a gang has found the vault key, which was lost during the events of the final Borderlands 2 DLC, by the way, and sends you to get it. But when you arrive, all you find is a half-naked Vaughn. He tells you that his gang betrayed him and took the key to sell it to the Children of the Vault. So you grab a car and fight your way there and kill a guy named Mouthpiece, who you're told is in charge of the cult's live streams? You had the key, and you pick it up, but Troy and Tyreen show up in a hologram to tell you that they don't need the key anymore because it's broken. Tyreen also explains that her siren power is to suck the life force out of people. You bring the key back to Lilith, but the key is damaged, so you have to take it to Tanis because she's the only one who can fix it. Though even her attempts only reveal the location of one vault, Promethea. So your next task is to head to the dry dock of Sanctuary 3, the ship Ellie has been building for the past few years, and she asks you to run over some people for fuel and collect a navigation chip. However, when you get back, the door slams in your face, blocking your view as the Calypsos show up and steal both the vault key and Lilith's siren powers. It's also revealed that Troy is sort of an anti-siren, because they were conjoined twins.
You're a siren?
Yeah, well, runs in the family.
I'm the siren. He's just a parasite. Literally, when we were born, our father had to cut him off me. Now I'm the only thing keeping him alive.
They teleport away and you take off and leave for Promethea, but not before some Claptrap escapades. When you arrive at Promethea, you find it under attack by Maliwan, and on the surface meet a new character named Lorelei who fills you in. With Lilith's powers, Tyreen teleports her followers to Promethea and they form an alliance with Maliwan. Maliwan, led by a guy named Katagawa Jr., are attempting to take over Atlas, and since Atlas are now run by Reese, they're the good guys, so you want them to win. You help Lorelei save some refugees and secure command center, then she sends you to find an agent in the field. This agent is Zero, and after finding him a sword upgrade, the two of you kill Gigamind, Maliwan's supercomputer. You bring the brain back to Reese and give it to him on the condition that he helps you find the vault. He tells you there's a piece of the vault key on Athenas, so you head there. Athenas is also under attack by Maliwan, though this time they're being fended off by Maya. You meet up with Maya and fight through the town, then you meet her apprentice Ava and dig up some graves. Maya needs Eridium to access the vault key fragment. It's hidden in the graves of the monks. Oh, also you kill this dude Tront, who's leading Maliwan here? That turns out to be important later. After retrieving the fragment, Maya and Ava join the Crimson Raiders on Sanctuary 3. Reese calls and says they need help. Maliwan has set up a laser on an asteroid that is destroying the city, and it's being powered by a vault key fragment. So you head back to Promethea to help Reese, and after some hijinks, get aboard the asteroid and fight your way through it. You turn off the laser with the help of Reese Ball.
Why didn't I pick a death sphere? This pleasure sphere is useless. Oh, tell you what, I'll play some music to get you in the killing mood.
After which he reveals that he had the third fragment all along. You head to Atlas headquarters and Zero is apparently missing. The turrets are sabotaged, seemingly by Zero, and you have to defend yourself against Maliwan and fight your way to Reese. You find him about to be killed by a Maliwan Zero, when the real Zero saves him, revealing the fake Zero to be Katagawa Jr. After you kill him, you get the third fragment and give it to Tanis to assemble the key. Then you head down with Maya to open the vault. There's this vehicle bit which is oddly reminiscent of ODST. And then you reach the vault. After killing the monster, Ava reveals herself to have followed, so while Maya scolds her, you head inside and pick up a fancy punch glove that lets you break crystals. Also inside, Tanis contacts you in the same way Lilith did at the start of the game, claiming to have created a device that works in the same way. When you head back out, Troy and Tyrene teleport in. She drains the monster's power and is about to kill Ava when Maya gets a hold of Troy, but her plan backfires and Troy kills her, stealing her powers in the process. Your job done, you head to Eden 6 for the next vault. Wainwright Jacobs is the heir to the Jacobs Corporation, but he's under attack from the cult and was betrayed by Aurelia Hammerlock. He needs your help before he'll help you find the vault. His boyfriend Alistair Hammerlock has been captured and is in need of rescue, so you head to the prison where you encounter the B-Team, Brick, a grown-up Tiny Tina, and Mordecai, who help you save Hammerlock and then leave.
Our job here is done. Catch you later, Bolty Bolt!
B-Team out!
You take Hammerlock back to Wainwright, though on your way you're contacted by Aurelia, who offers to pay you to leave the planet. When you get back, a new plan is hatched. You'll distract her while Wainwright searches the mansion for clues that his father might have left behind about the vault. But it's a trap. Aurelia isn't there, but Troy is, and he phase locks you, and he's about to kill you when he's distracted by Wainwright. New plan, you find the clues, he'll distract Troy. You eventually find the secret study, and the secret record is revealed to have been a literal record, one for which Wainwright has the only player, but it's broken. While he's fixing it, he sends you to meet Clay, a smuggler his father hired. He wants to build an army to fight back against the cult, and to do that he needs you to free the local town, and specifically the local gunsmith who's been captured by the cult. When you get back to the mansion, Wainwright has fixed the record player, and after a drunk and cryptic message, he deciphers that there's a vault key fragment on his family ship, the Family Jewel, which has recently crashed nearby. When you get to the scene, you find an AI stuffed into a teddy bear named Balex, who was the ship's navigator but was crammed into a bear after the ship crashed when he broke up with a combat AI named Genevieve. Genevieve has the fragment, so you fight your way through the ship and get to her, in a sequence very similar to the pre-sequel. Once you take it back to Sanctuary, it's revealed that Genevieve is already there, and you have to plug in Balex to stop her, after which he becomes the ship AI. Also, Genevieve was bribed by Aurelia. I think that's important. Clay contacts you and says his old smuggling band has found the next fragment, though when you get to their base, they've already been killed. Someone betrayed them. Turns out it was Clay's old friend Archimedes, who was bribed by Aurelia and also joined the Children of the Vault. After you kill him and take the fragment, Wainwright tells you that there's a final piece, but before you go, Tanis convinces Lilith to let her go down with you so she can stop Tyrene from stealing the monster's power. The final piece is hidden in a barrel in the mansion's basement. Once you retrieve the final piece, it's a matter of finding the vault, but before you can regroup with Wainwright and Hammerlock, they're caught by Aurelia, and after refusing redemption, you're forced to kill her. When you get to the vault, you give Tanis the key so she can fix it, and then kill a big monster that's weirdly similar to the end of Mass Effect 2. Tanis does a thing that seals its energy, but she's teleported away by the Calypsos. They take Tanis back to Pandora to be executed for the entertainment of the masses, so you set out to rescue her. Before you get in, you have to steal a golden car to sacrifice. After fighting through the base, it's revealed that the base is actually a massive tank, so you have to board it and fight your way to the arena. After neutralizing the death machine, Tanis finishes it off, revealing herself to be a siren. You mount an assault on the Calypso base, but are quickly foiled by turrets. Tannis claims she can use her powers to hack them, but she'll need an Eridian booster hidden in her secret lab. You go and retrieve it, and after a Halo 3-bit... you head up to the ship and say your goodbyes in a scene that's very similar to Borderlands 2, but things are interrupted when a beam of light shoots up at the moon. Elpis is the key, and Pandora is the Great Vault, and the Destroyer is locked inside. You mount your assault and confront Troy, who after cutting off his iridium supply has started harnessing his sister's power instead. After killing him, Ava touches his body and gains Maya's powers. But Tyrene is revealed to be alive and she absorbs Troy and drops some rocks on the 3 sirens, then claiming that it's game over and there's a fake-out ending. Ava used her powers to save the 3 of them, and when they get out, there's an echo device claiming that it's the end of the universe. It's Typhon de Leon, the first Vault Hunter. You can find some of his logs throughout the game, though up to this point he's assumed dead. He's on the Eridian homeworld Necrotefeo, and he knows how to stop the apocalypse, so he gives you the coordinates and you head out. Though before you go, inside this other random vault you find a device that lets you read Eridian. Typhon has found the device that sealed the Destroyer inside Pandora, but you need one more vault key to activate it. Luckily there's one on Necrotefeo. Maliwan is here too, led by, this guy way back on Athena's brother, and he's out for revenge. You kill him on your way to the vault. The monster's already been defeated by Typhon years ago, but he gives you the reward anyway, a gun that shoots other guns, as well as the vault key. It's also revealed that he's the father of the Calypsos. You head to the machine joined by Tannis and turn it on, but Tyrene shows herself and stops it from working by destroying a crystal. Typhon tries to sacrifice himself to kill her, but she captures the explosion and throws it back at him. He dies. Tannis uses her power to convert the machine into a teleporter, and you go through it alone to confront Destroyer Tyrene. You kill her and Lilith gets her powers back, but the moon is still destroying Pandora, so Lilith flies up and uses her powers to teleport it away, presumably sacrificing herself in the process, though not before leaving Sanctuary to Ava. Credits roll.
She's just a girl and she's on fire.
I apologise if that was long. The game is actually surprisingly long story-wise, and there's a lot to cover. Now, you may have already noticed some problems while I was going through that, but if not, don't worry, I'll be going through all of it. So this next segment might feel a bit cinema-sinsy, but I really do think it's important to show how easily this story falls apart if you think about it for just a few seconds, so bear with me here. The problems literally start with the very first scene, where the 4 characters find the flyer pointing them to where the Crimson Raiders are recruiting. And I have to ask, why are they already travelling together? How did they meet? You might think this is nitpicking, but the other 3 games already have an answer to this. They all got on the same bus. They all got the train because Handsome Jack hired them. They're all on a ship because Handsome Jack hired them. Again, here, I guess they met on the way to this random road where they could pick up a flyer. Also, what's up with this recruiting system? The flyer points them to a place where the bus will pick them up and take them to an actual place where they get recruited? What a waste of poor Marcus's time. I point this out because this is the kind of sloppy writing that's omnipresent throughout the game. They're travelling together because it looks cool. The recruiting is arranged like this so they can have a cool fight scene. That's it. Don't get used to seeing these characters in cutscenes, by the way. Oh boy, will we get to that. This big magnet picks up Claptrap and a bunch of other stuff around him, but not your gun. Or flak. Lilith claims this old base for the Crimson Raiders and claims it isn't the first time the Raiders have had to start again from nothing. Except a short drive away is her massive ship with a bunch of soldiers and all her stuff on it. Why does she need to claim this base? Just go live on the ship. Look how fortified this dry dock location is. Despite it being made clear that Vaughn's gang brought the vault key to the Calypsos,
I warned them not to mess with that crap. But what do? They tie me up and they take it to the Calypso twins.
there's Tyrene created husks dotted around his base. How did they get there? Now this scene, this is where I really started having problems. What the hell is their character doing during this scene? Are we to expect all of this happens while you're climbing around the back?
Vault Hunter.
No, because Lilith starts begging for help right away. So they just stood there, staring at a closed door. Whatever will they do? The player character has no presence in the story because if they did, it would fuck everything up. The cutscenes exist in this weird parallel universe where the player character doesn't exist. Take the scene where Maya dies. This triggers as you go to leave the vault. So where the hell are you, twiddling your thumbs at a corner? This death wouldn't have happened if the game wasn't bending over backwards to make it possible. This scene triggers just after you kill Troy. By all accounts, you should be standing right there watching it happen, but you've blinked out of existence. I won't pretend this hasn't happened in the series before. The last scene of Borderlands 2 does this, but unlike these scenes, nothing would have been different were your character present, so it doesn't feel as annoying. You could argue this scene counts, but it's fast and Jack is very clearly in control. More importantly, he's talking directly at you. You're a part of the scene. Here, nothing. You don't exist in these scenes so the plot can happen. It's so goddamn lazy. These cutscenes were all over the Commander Lilith DLC, by the way. But when that came out, I assumed that was like a budget choice. It was a free DLC while they were working on a bigger, better game. I didn't expect it to be foreshadowing. Sorry about that tangent, but I thought I'd address it now so it doesn't keep coming up. Let's get back to the point by point.
Legendary Vault Hunter. Slayer of the Destroyer. Firehawk. So many titles. So little impact. Well, I've taken your powers. Might as well finish you off.
Tyreen!
Fine.
Why did you stop? Even with her powers, she's still a Vault Hunter and the leader of the Crimson Raiders. Why aren't you killing her? The scene plays like Troy really needs that energy, but like, he can't wait a few more seconds? Or did he just want to record her death? No, because when they record it, they don't even kill her.
Later, Firehawk! Or whatever you are now.
Wait, aren't you even gonna watch them? They could get away.
No. I'm going to leave them alone and not actually witness them dying. I'm just gonna assume it all went to plan. What?
Why is your Morty full of your character's stuff before you ever get access to it? Claptrap's room is in the cargo bay, so how does he get up to the bridge? I mean, they didn't forget, did they?
Hello, semi-adult humans. I am...
Claptrap! Holy crap, I've heard so much about you!
Wait, what?
Yeah! When you took on the Bullymongs, and Captain Flint, and the stairs! I make Maya tell me about it all the time!
So you wanted your...
Look at this city. It's massive. It looks like New York on steroids. With that in mind, where are all the people? Are we to assume this entire city constituted of 6 refugees and a couple of Atlas soldiers? Now maybe they were evacuated, but that kind of negates the idea of a surprise attack. Maybe they're all dead, but where are the bodies? Promethea feels like a shell of a city after an apocalypse, but it was presumably a fully functioning city all but a few weeks ago at max. This is verging on a general critique of world building, which I'll get to later. Reese is voiced by a different person. That's it really, it's just very distracting. Claptrap is too, but Claptrap is much less noticeable because of the voice effect. Also, Reese shouldn't even be here, but that's also for a future section. What was the point of taking this little command center? We see later that Atlas HQ has these big turrets and walls that are clearly much more defensible position. Why aren't the refugees fleeing there? This is the second time I've had to ask that question. The only answer I can think of is pacing. That they want to have a big reveal of the cooler locations, which is a stupid reason. Why is Zero working for Reese? I have no idea. It's never explained, but it seems very out of character. Why is there a piece of the Promethea Vault key on Athenas? It's the only piece in the game that isn't found on the planet of the Vault. It's never explained. The only reason is so they can find Maya and Ava. Oh hey, it's the Carl and Ness car.
How can I accept this?
Why doesn't Reese just come in person on this mission? I realise he's no good in a fight, but he's perfectly capable of cowering in a corner, and in Tales he's pretty proactive about heading into danger if something needs done, and in this case, literally everyone will die if he doesn't shut down this laser. Did they really do it just for this respawn joke?
You're losing your grasp on reality! That's 3 hand things right there! Yeah, you can't get past my defense turrets! Maybe I can't, but but your friend Zero can.
Okay, wait, so with hindsight, we know the evil Zero is actually Katagawa in disguise. So where does he think Zero is? Did he capture him? Nope.
You disappeared on us, Zero.
I was on the hunt. Could not give myself away. Radio silence.
I guess he's just bluffing about Zero betraying them and hoping that Zero doesn't show up to do exactly what he does. Oh boy.
Damn Katagawa. How did he copy my suit? Did she? No, never.
Yeah, Zero, that's a pretty good question. I wish it had a f***ing answer. Why do they send Maya on this mission? They know that Tyrene and Troy are interested in the vault, and it seems pretty reasonable that they'd make an appearance. It seems to me like a pretty bad idea to send a siren down there, given that they could do exactly what they did. Great plan, guys. Wainwright says that Brick is preparing an escape route, but when you find him, he's just trying to get in and help, so... What? Why isn't he already inside with Tina and Mordecai? In fact, maybe a better question is how did Tina and Mordecai get in if the only way through is for Brick to break the doors? Shouldn't the doors be, like, exploded already? Sir Hammerlock hasn't fixed his glasses in 5 years. Why would Aurelia give Hammerlock to the COV? She must know that he doesn't know where the vault is. I can almost buy this as her just torturing him for fun, but it would also be pretty torturous and also make more sense to capture Wainwright. When you think about it, switching the two of them around changes nothing about the story. It's only Hammerlock because we know who that is, so it makes it more dramatic. Why doesn't Troy kill you right here? Is he really distracted enough by Wainwright that he isn't interested in killing the biggest threat to his plans?
Fill your hands, you zealot scum!
Huh? You sly dog! You got me monologuing! I can't believe it.
Oh, I'ma kill you! Come and get me, you rat-faced bastard!
This is the only cutscene in the game that your character exists in, and it's still bad. Despite Tyrene clearly not being involved in this mission, enemies still teleport in with the same effect as when she does it. Wainwright sent you to Reliance to build a Jacob's Resistance. Why? That never comes up again. There's never a scene where the Resistance helps you fight the children. It's never even mentioned again after this mission.
Oh, nah, I know that evil laugh anywhere. Genevieve is all up in your ship!
How did Genevieve get into Sanctuary? It's never explained. So after this mission, Marcus wants Genevieve's AI for something, but that never comes up again. Why does this mission exist? I just find it kind of boring.
Aurelia, as your brother, I implore you to stop this!
Step aside, Alistair, while I trim the last loose end of the Jacob's line.
If you want to kill Wainwright, then you will have to...
Yes, I know.
What does Aurelia actually want? It's not money or power, because she's already got that. It seems like her primary motivation is just messing with her brother, but then why would she shoot him? Kinda ends the game if you do that, done it, Ori? Why did Troy and Tyrene let this happen? In fact, why did they let anything happen? Sincerely, if they can instantly teleport anyone anywhere, then why is there even a game? Why don't they just use their powers to teleport you into the sun? How can they even use their powers if they're not there? It's so stupid! So Tannis has Angel's powers. That's not speculation, she literally says so.
As for my particular powers, I'm able to manipulate machines and anything else with a current. It is known as phase shifting. You could call it a gift from a guardian angel.
But it's never explained how she got them. In fact, that moves us to the bigger question. What the fuck are sirens? They've been influential in 4 games now and they still haven't explained what they are or how they work. This game, where every main character is a siren, probably would have been a good time to explain that. How were their powers transferred? How did Maya know that Ava was going to be a siren? Why can only women be sirens? Why do you need a siren to charge a vault key? Whoever wrote this game subscribes to the J.J. Abrams School of Storytelling and it's so goddamn frustrating. Except I'm lying. There's actually some answers to these questions, but they're not explained in the main story, but instead in these Eridian writings you'll find. And boy, will we get into those Eridian writings later. Are some turrets really stopping this assault? You have a spaceship. Not only that, but the only way to hack these turrets is for Tannis to get supercharged on Iridium and phase shift them. Why can't Reese hack them? Or Balex, or Zero. Why is the only way to get through these turrets for Tannis to do it? Why does Lilith send Ava on this mission? I really have no idea. She's like 13. So this is the big assault. You hear over the radio that all your friends from throughout the game are here to help you. Yep, they're right here. All of them. Trust me. Troy is being powered by Iridium. Where did he get it? There's a couple of mentions of Iridium pledge drive during the Tannis rescue, but like, where did they get it? Jack spent the entire last game mining the stuff just to charge a regular vault key, but a bunch of crazies found enough and were able to liquefy it in like the span of 2 missions. I don't buy it.
Those powers never truly belonged to Troy, and now it seems they have found their rightful owner. Maya had a plan all along.
What does that mean? Did she plan to get killed and have her powers used to destroy the planet? Did she know that Ava would inherit her powers? I know how it works, but Maya couldn't have because she can't read that sign. A fake end screen. You know, there was another game that pulled that joke. It was called Sunset Overdrive, and you did not want to be imitating Sunset Overdrive. Where did this echo come from? Was Troy holding on to it? Was it just sitting there the whole time in case someone tried to open the Great Vault? Why wouldn't Typhon have just contacted them over the radio? Why did you have to introduce a plot hole? So Troy and Tyrone were born and raised on Nequitafale. How did they leave? Did they build a ship? Did they fix Typhon's 20-year-old wreck? Sing it with me now. It's never explained. So Maliwan are on Nequitafale, led by this guy's brother. This guy was a joke character.
Attention, stupid pacifist monks! This is Oppressor Trant. It's not just a title, oppression is my profession.
His brother is also a joke character.
I taught Sammy how to fight. You taught him how to die. Now I'm gonna teach you how to die. Just to be clear. Trant!
Why would you make him the leader of the forces here and not Katagawa Sr., the CEO of Maliwan, which would have made more sense and been much more dramatic? This isn't really a plot hole, it's just a really weird decision. How does Tyrone know that you're here and what you're trying to do? Okay, maybe Typhon. How did she catch this explosion? Sure looks like phase lock, but that can't be right because those powers were transferred to Ava after Troy died.
Killer, we'd be dead 1,000 times over if it wasn't for you. I've been telling myself I still belonged on the front lines, but a leader needs to know when to stand aside and let a soldier do their job. This is your fight.
What kind of reason is that, Lilith? We're talking about the end of the goddamn galaxy here. Why aren't any of you coming to help? You show up at the end anyway somehow, so what? Oh man, she's so powerful. Just look. Look at how powerful she is. She's going to destroy the whole galaxy.
Sanctuary's yours, Ava. Be ready.
What? Why? You've only known her for like a day and she's 13. So she teleported the moon. Why does that mean she's dead? She probably teleported with it, because that's how her powers work. Also, what about all the people who live on the moon? All of those nice Australians? Are we to assume they're all dead? How did she fly into the vacuum of space? How did she get the power to teleport the entire moon? Why did it leave an actual Firehawk mark? Did she draw that as she was leaving? Why? Look, I can forgive 1 or 2 plot holes. Those happen. But when every single mission in the game has a plot hole, I can't handle it. This game actively hates you for using your brain, and it's not like these problems are unfixable. You could fix most of these with like a second draft of the script. That definitely wouldn't fix the structure of the story, but it would damn well help if they could have made the story a little more cheddar and a little less Swiss. Now, like I said before, there's some people who will dismiss all of this criticism by saying that the game is all a joke, it isn't meant to be taken seriously. I disagree. You can't have a serious, dramatic death scene like this and claim that the whole game is just a joke. On the Saints Row scale, Borderlands 3 is sitting right around here. Not as serious as 2 and not as goofy as the 3rd. It wants to split between funny and serious the same way Borderlands 2 did it, but because it tries to maintain that seriousness, it needs to have a strong story. And it doesn't. Even if you think some of those criticisms were nitpicky, and for the record I agree, these problems just keep piling and piling on until they consume the whole game. I did this section first to prove that on its own the story is full of problems, but this isn't a story on its own. It's supposed to be a sequel. So I genuinely think the writer of this game hated the pre-sequel because they straight up ignore what happened. For a refresher, here's what happened in the last scene of the pre-sequel.
You regret teaming up with Jack? Yes. Now do what you will. Kill her.
What? No!
If it weren't for people like her, our friends might still be alive. Ready?
This ain't us, Lil. This ain't you!
Fire! What the hell?
Now is not the time for bickering, Vault Hunters. War is coming, and you will need all the Vault Hunters you can get.
Now that's how you sequel bait. Who is this Guardian? What war is coming? The next game's going to be epic. This plotline is completely dropped. This thing never shows up again. Sparing Athena was pointless because she's not even in this game. Is this the war? I guess so. Didn't exactly need all the Vault Hunters, did we? You can't do this. You can't just ignore things because you don't like them. People might have bought this game to see where the story was going. People like me, for example. And they just straight up pretended it didn't happen. I never thought I'd be gaslit by a Borderlands game, but here we are. And the pre-sequel is not the only victim here. Remember the end of Borderlands 2? Look at all these vaults. Wonder what importance they'll have in the next game. None. Because these 4 planets are the most important planets in the universe. There was also those coincidental assassination filings.
Salutations, Psycho Man! I'm sorry as a slice wound. Sincerely, Sammy.
Some of those seemed like they were leading somewhere.
I understand it. A message sent and received. Mercy is coming.
You know, might be interesting.
Dear Siren, though I find your physical attractiveness confusingly repulsive, I feel you will have an important part to play in the coming days. Knowing this, I elected to poison the Siren Hunters through various means I shan't go into detail about. Suffice to say, they involved a beer bottle and a straw made of anthrax. Sincerely, a friend.
Oh, that's right, Maya. You were so important to the coming events that you died in the first act having accomplished nothing. Where did Reese and Fiona disappear to at the end of Tales? Nowhere. They didn't disappear. What are you talking about? He's right here. This is all really just the icing on the cake, innit? They ignored a bunch of interesting plot points to make a bad story. Thanks ever so much. The fanbase has been speculating about the answers to these things for years, and they were just completely ignored.
The greatest insult an enemy can suffer. To be ignored.
Borderlands' strongest element has always been its characters. All unique and memorable, and even if you don't like some of them, there's enough variety that there'll be something you like. Not in this game. Here's all the main characters from previous games who don't appear in this one. And you know what? Thank God, because the ones who do appear are all horribly wasted. Maya gets killed off in Act 1. After he's introduced, Hero has nothing to do with the plot. Lilith does nothing but make bad decisions on the ship. Fan favourites Brick, Tina and Mordecai are nothing more than a cameo. And Aurelia is reduced to a mustache-twirling villain. Oh, Aurelia, my poor girl. By the way, here she is in the pre-sequel reacting to Jack turning crazy.
That felt kind of good. You know, if I hadn't airlocked those scientists, one of them might have turned those defenses back on just as you were walking through. Would have fried you like a skag steak. Think on that.
Yes, of course. Whatever gets you there, darling.
What did you think about that thing with the airlock?
I was, not really a fan. No.
And here she is, in Borderlands 3.
If you want to kill Wainwright, then you will have to...
I know.
My lovely boy Timothy is reduced to an Easter egg, and Krieg gets some audio logs which presumably only exist to set him up for a DLC.
Just calamity!
Easy, Krieg, it's okay.
You heard what Lilith said. Sanctuary's gone, but we're all still Vault Hunters. Including you.
Booped out by the vengeful Rictus!
The writer hated the pre-sequel, I'm telling you. What does it say that the only character from the pre-sequel gets killed off? I cannot believe how Maya is used in this game. I want to make it clear that I'm not mad that she died, I'm mad at how quickly it happened. This is the mission where Maya is introduced, and this is the mission where she died. Let me make it clear that she doesn't have any involvement in these two missions. Clearly what they were going for is making her Ben Kenobi.
I love Maya's look, she's fully Jedi'd out.
But even old Ben had more screen time than this. When she dies, it's not a feeling of sadness, but, oh, wait, really? Because honestly, by that point, you haven't known her long enough as a character to care, because even if you played as her in Borderlands 2, that game has a silent protagonist. I like both of the missions you do with her, and she seems like the only main character in the game that's confident you can win, which is why she's killed off, I guess. But the game is weaker for not having her stick around. It's honestly insane to me that they would squander their greatest resource like this. The whole game should have been structured around finding and recruiting characters to fight in this big war, but instead it feels like this entire war is being fought by 3 people and a child. All of these characters will appear in a cheap, hypey way to get you to buy DLC, by the way, mark my words. Ava and Tannis, the game's actual main characters, are certainly perplexing. I confess that I've never liked Tannis. The crazy scientist angle never worked for me. As a main character, she just doesn't work. She's not heroic. I don't even know what she's doing here other than curiosity. I don't know why they made her a siren of all the characters. Hey, if you wanted to make Ava this big important character, then why didn't you have it so Ava has angel's powers? Speaking of Ava, why? Just in general. Everything about this character is so odd. They wanted Mai to have an apprentice. Okay, that's fine. I actually kind of like Ava as a character, but the game wants her to be important without ever actually doing anything to make her important. Even by the end of the game, the only thing of actual importance she does is save Lilith and Tannis in this scene. This fix is so obvious it's painful. Just make her the inheritor of Angel's powers. That way she can be the one who gets you into the base, and maybe some other stuff, like maybe helping you get through the family jewel, instead of having her be completely irrelevant for half the game and then coming back at the end. But we needed a twist, I guess, so Tannis is a siren now. Yay. When I first learned about Ava, I thought she'd be the reincarnation of Commandant Steele from the first game, because that would sort of line up in the timeline, but no. And the villains. Oh boy, let's talk about the Calypsos. So they had an impossible task ahead of them trying to top Handsome Jack. I get that, I really do. And on the surface, having 2 antagonists instead of 1 is a good way to mix things up. The Calypsos are supposed to be annoying.
Don't feel bad, Lil. All legends have to die. You had a good run. I guess? That's just something people say. I don't really believe it.
And that's it, really.
What's up, bitches? Ow, Troy, look what they left for us.
Thanks for doing all the hard work. Man, you Vault Thieves only think with your trigger fingers, huh?
That's their entire character trait, is to be annoying.
We kidnapped your scientist. If you want to see her alive, it's not gonna happen. Yeah, 'cause you eat butts. Skag butts.
You could have done something interesting with these characters. The fact that Troy needs Tyrene to stay alive. You could explore some really interesting stuff with that. After Troy gains Maya's powers, the 2 of them start infighting, now that they're on a more even playing field. But that thread is completely dropped before the end of the game. And really, what is their motivation? They want to become gods and destroy the whole universe. Okay then. Handsome Jack is more than sarcasm and sadism. He has a clear motivation. He hates bandits and wants to wipe them off the planet. His problem isn't motives, it's in method. He's driven by rage and doesn't care who he leaves in his wake, be it innocent people or even his own daughter. He's complex, and that's what makes him an interesting villain. Even Valerie from Tales, possibly the weakest villain in the entire franchise, has a clear motivation. She wants money. Okay, I can get behind that. Destroying the universe is not a relatable goal, nor does it have a lot of tension. Like, obviously the galaxy isn't going to be destroyed. They're also overpowered as hell, which in of itself isn't a problem. Having overpowered villains is a great way to build tension, and it can add a real sense of accomplishment when you finally beat them. But there's a limit, and teleporting someone across the galaxy without even being there is that limit. Once that happened, there was no more tension in the game. If the Calypsos wanted to, they could kill me instantly. There's no rules to their powers. In order to teleport Sanctuary, Lilith had to use a bunch of Iridium, and that only teleported it like a short drive away. Now as soon as Tyreen gets them, she can teleport entire armies across the galaxy? I guess she could be using Iridium to fuel them.
See, I was planning to leech enough vault monsters to charge it myself, but then you handed us your stupid siren friend, and now Troy can just use Iridium.
Oh, on the topic of wasted characters, let's move on to the player characters. So the player character speaks now.
What's your name?
Zane Flint.
This is a positive change. One of the best things about the pre-sequel is how much replayability you get from hearing each of the different characters' perspectives on the story. Only that's just one element. The other is that in the pre-sequel, NPCs will also respond to you differently based on who you play. This is fantastic, and it really makes this world feel more natural. All except one. Aurelia, who gets the generic dialogue, which I always thought was odd, because surely if you're recording new lines anyway, it doesn't cost more to make them character specific. Tangent, this is the treatment for the entire game in Borderlands 3. The characters will ask your name but never actually use it.
What's your name?
Zane Flint.
Thanks. I'll pre-order your tombstone just in case.
And more importantly, the game can't account for serious game-breaking problems caused by which character you play. In most of the gameplay I've been playing as Zane, but in my first playthrough I played as Amara, and boy does that have some serious problems for the story. Hey, remember when I said it was dumb that they sent Maya on this mission? Well, take that and factor it into every single mission if you're playing as Amara. Remember this scene? The only one where the player matters in a cutscene? You should be totally fucked if you're playing as Amara here. He has you phase locked, and if he touches you, you're screwed. But because the game doesn't account for that, and because there has to be a game after this point, he has to pretend like he hasn't just caught a siren. Remember this bullshit when they kidnapped Tannis? They didn't even know she was a siren, but you're not even trying to hide it. Why don't they just steal your powers? It's so insanely frustrating. Especially since there's so many ways to fix this. Number 1, don't have a playable siren. It's that simple. Number 2, don't include this scene. Number 3, the best option. Factor in which character you're playing as and make it part of the story. Make up some bullshit reason as to why they can't capture Amara. Or make an extra quest where you have to acquire some device to prevent it from happening. As it stands right now, the only reason Amara still has her powers is because she doesn't exist in cutscenes. This effect works in other characters too. In canon, these people killed Zane's family, and that gets commented on exactly never. Zane will also mention that he's met some of these characters before, but they have to treat him like a stranger because that's how the game was written. Some of you might think this is unfair criticism, so let me show you some examples of similar scenes from each game.
Hey, Vault Hunter! Keep fighting the good fight!
The name's Moxie. What's yours, sugar?
It's Zane. We had a weekend at the casino. Did you forget me?
Guilty as charged. Looking for me, sugar?
Hello again, Moxie. Jack sent me.
Hey, Athena. Haven't seen you since all that business with Nox. Looking good. The name's Moxie. What's yours, sugar?
Mose. And you look like trouble.
Guilty as charged.
Holy Hi, I'm, Jack, obviously, and I need your help. Are you sure we're not still dating?
Pretty sure, hon. And I can tell my ex from a body double. You're not salivating enough.
See how much better the pre-sequel sounds? You get to learn more about these characters through the dialogue and how people interact with them. In this game, bland is a bland thing.
I'm Zane, and you're the lady from my brain.
Yeah, about that.
I am Flack, and your voice was in my head. Explain yourself.
Yeah, about that.
Mose. And you're the voice in my head, right?
Yeah, about that.
Every response has to be generic as possible. Who gives a shit if Flack is non-binary if nobody in the entire game ever uses pronouns? Would this be harder to write and program? Absolutely. Would it be worth it? Absolutely.
Oh, and Jack Double Guy, if you ever need to get that plastic surgery reversed, I know a guy.
Yeah, that's thanks. I'm pretty sure there's a bomb in this face that'll detonate if you try to take it off, but thank you.
Okay, so I've put this off long enough, so let's discuss these Eridian Writings. On my first draft of the script I hadn't found all of these yet, hence the section questioning sirens earlier, but these writings do attempt to answer some of those questions, as well as others from the series. Mainly what the Guardians are, and what's the point of the vaults.
I do not believe the Eridians intended the Guardians to be their heirs. Though they are technological marvels, they were held back from true emergence, kept in the dark to be of greater use. I wonder if they resent their creators for it. Even the sharpest knife is still a simple tool.
I'm a bit conflicted about this. On the one hand, I wish some of these had been explained as part of the main story. On the other, I can understand that exposition dumps like this would bore a lot of people who don't care about the lore, but hey, I'm happy that they included them at all, even if I wish you could have gotten access to them much earlier in the game. I think the explanations of the vaults, the Guardians, and the Destroyer are all pretty good. They even managed to explain some things that I thought for sure it wouldn't be possible, like the 200 years rule from the first game.
All prisoners must be fed, even the Destroyer. The Eridians devised of a feeding slot that calls wayward souls to open it every 200 years. A cruel surprise for those that open this false vault.
Or the existence of the warrior from the second.
Not all shared the desperate optimism of the Eridians. There were some who hoped to appease the Destroyer and save their own souls by attacking the yet unfinished Pandora. They were met by another of the Eridians' creations, the Warrior. Though their coup was obliterated, the Warrior now sleeps in its own vault, ready to defend it from any who would further trespass against Pandora.
They don't bother explaining the vault on the moon, but I guess we all know that the writer hated the pre-sequel. Oh, they also don't include the Vault of the Traveler either, because they also hate Tales, apparently. In fact, one of these writings appears to make a reference to the Watcher.
There was a single guardian present when I killed the Eridians. It stood and watched from above us in that mechanical crypt. I feared and perhaps hoped that it would seek to avenge them and strike me down. But it made no motions to save its life-givers as they died. It merely watched.
Which would really be a middle finger, wouldn't it? So, I'm going to pretend that doesn't exist. They do leave quite a bit open-ended, and that's okay because they answer enough. Mostly just speculating on things like the Guardian's free will or the origins of the Destroyer. Unfortunately, I can't say the same thing about the Sirens. So as far as I can tell, the person writing these is a Siren.
I am a siren.
This is made clear in a couple of the texts, but it's not clear whether she herself is an Eridian or not. In fact, there's some suggestion that the Sirens are actually a race.
I have brought ruin to the Sirens, murdered the Eridians, and imprisoned a primordial force of the universe.
But I'm not convinced. The point is, it's unclear.
As the Siren Sisterhood, we were the keepers of many answers, but our own nature remained elusive. We never knew our origins, nor our purpose. In this way, we are still undeniably mortal.
Which is annoying, but the origin of Sirens is less important than how they work as far as I'm concerned. None of these explain the limit of Sirens' powers or their relation to Eridium, but they do at least attempt to answer some of the questions from before, mainly how the powers are transferred.
To inherit a Siren's gift is also to inherit her curse. This is the choice of a Siren presented with death. Pass on the gift and burden someone worthy, or release it and burden an unknown soul who has no idea that the entire universe is about to want them dead.
Much as I appreciate this attempt, it still doesn't make sense to me. Given this explanation, we're to assume that Angel decided to give her powers to Tannis? But that just raises more questions. Number one, how did she know she could do that? Not even Maya, who's actively looking for answers, can read Eridian, so I doubt Angel locked in her room could have found out. Okay, so maybe it's unconscious, sort of like Maiden powers in Ruby. They just transfer to whoever you were thinking of. So she was thinking of Tannis when she died? Why? Besides the fact that these two have never met, the only real thing Angel would remember about Tannis is that one time she betrayed the Vault Hunters back in Borderlands 1. So am I to expect she gave her powers to Tannis and not, like, Gage, who was in the room when she died, presumably? I just don't buy it. The same thing can be applied to Maya and Ava. Maya clearly claims that Ava is going to be a siren, but how does she know? She tells you she can't read Eridian, so I assume she can know about the powers being transferred, but given this line, I have to assume otherwise. I'm not sure if they expect me not to notice, or if they didn't notice themselves, and I'm not sure which is worse. This brings up even more problems. Apparently when a siren dies, if they haven't picked someone, their powers go to someone random. I assumed that meant someone was born with them, but that can't be true based on this audio log.
Captain Bear, who is a bear? He is a bear, Captain Bear.
Hey, Angel. And who is this guy?
Captain Bear, he eats crime.
Whoa, he must be eating a lot with that big belly, huh? Hey, Angel, darling, what's that on your arm? Did you do that?
Blue. I don't know where it came from. Do you think it's pretty?
Okay, so maybe they're not born with them, but they manifest during childhood. Well, that can't be true either, since the sole idea of Troy and Tyrene is that he was a parasitic twin who stole some of her power. The rules are inconsistent, to say the least. And while I really do appreciate that they tried to explain it, they still didn't. The last of these is another sequel tease, which probably refers to a 7th siren, given the pre-established 6 at a time rule, so no doubt we'll be seeing more siren stuff in the next game. Probably one with all the powers of the rest, and also is evil, because that's just how these things work. This is more of a minor thing, but it's something that's bugged me a lot while I was playing. None of these planets feel real. Pandora in Borderlands 2 felt like an actual planet. It had different regions with different conditions. It had the snowy frozen ice cap, a tundra, a desert, a grassy highland area, and the destroyed environment of the Eridian Blight. And if you add in the DLC, it also had the swampy areas in the Hammerlock DLC and a tropical island from the last Headhunter. This game forgoes all of that. All of Pandora is a desert wasteland. All of Eden 6 is a swamp. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but that's not how planets work. I realise you're only exploring one location of the planet, but dialogue makes it clear that this is actually the case.
Eden 6 wasn't just wood rich. They had all sorts of minerals and gases bubbling beneath the surface of those swamps. When I asked Monty Jacobs why they'd never been invaded, he said, "The way I figure it, a thief won't steal a hunk of gold if there's a turn around it." Smart that, Jacobs.
They even tried to retcon this in the last Borderlands 2 DLC.
I've always found it odd that this planet's soil lacks the essential building blocks for mature flora.
Lacks the essential building blocks for mature flora. Lacks the essential building blocks for mature flora.
Really wish I had paid more attention to the warning bells. More importantly, this makes the settings way more boring. Every location on Pandora looks the same, every location on Eden 6 looks the same, and you spend way too long on Eden 6. Necrotafeo is an amazing alien environment and genuinely blew me away, but you spend so little time there, and so much of that time is underground that you really don't get to appreciate it. Another problem I had is the vending machines and catch rides. It doesn't make any sense to me that it's the same machines on every planet. Dr. Zed isn't a Pandoran native without a medical license. How is he the only one in the galaxy with med stations? Except on Elpis, but fuck the pre-sequel, am I right? The same goes for catch rides. A thing started by Scooter, who was a Pandoran native who died the first time he left the planet. I just don't buy that Maliwan, one of the big mega corporations, doesn't have their own way to make vehicles, and they actually brought catch ride stations to Necrotafea. It makes no sense to me.
Woo! Our catch a ride on the legendary planet of Necrotafeo!
This might be nitpicking, since they're obviously there for gameplay reasons, but would it really be that different if it was some Maliwan thing you got your car from instead of a catch ride? I can tell you it wouldn't, because that's how it works in the pre-sequel, but f*** the pre-sequel, am I right? I've cited the pre-sequel as a positive example a lot in this video, and I just want to make it clear that I don't think the pre-sequel is perfect. Elpis is a really, really boring setting for the most part. The story is about 4 to 5 hours too short, and it's got its fair share of plot holes. Plus, there is no endgame. But playing through 3 has really made me appreciate how much extra work was put into the details of the pre-sequel that's just missing from this game. Making suggestions is dangerous because it's very easy to do and very hard to do right, but in my mind, just picking the game to death is a little basic, especially when there's some easy changes that could be made to fix the story. Obviously, were I given the reins, I would have incorporated the ending of the previous games, but my intention here is to fix the game using only what's currently in the game. So let's go through the story one more time and make it a little bit better. Instead of Lilith claiming this base for no reason, have her go to Ellie's and the two of you drive up to the dry dock, which has become set up as a Crimson Raider base with some soldiers on patrol, and this gives you your hub during this section of the game. This mission can be more intense as it would be an assault from the cult, complete with some of the lesser Crimson Raiders helping you fend it off. This scene will still happen, but instead of a surprise attack, it will be because Lilith charges straight for them in an attempt to end it quickly, and it backfires because she underestimated them. They are instead unable to finish her off because there's still a battle going on around them. When you meet Lorelei, you help her reach Atlas HQ instead of this command post, and she starts bringing refugees into the courtyard. I think this would also make it much more intense when Maliwan attacks it later, because you'd also be fighting to protect refugees as they scatter and hide across the battlefield. Instead of dying here, Maya's instead turned into a statue similar to the ones left by Tyrene and brought back to the ship, probably put in Tanis' lab. Troy still gets her powers, but instead of a revenge motive, it's a rescue motive, as Tanis would say she might recover were she to get her powers back from Troy. For the most part, things in Eden 6 would be similar, though I'd have this mission with the rogues take place on a different planet, similar to Athenas, just to break from the swamp. I'd still have this fight with Aurelia because it's a good boss fight, but she wouldn't die at the end and she would instead escape, similar to Captain Scarlet back in that DLC. Maybe she comes back in a later DLC. I'm not sure how to fix this scene that isn't really stupid, honestly, but I do like that Tanis is kidnapped. Maybe they just fly past her in a buzzard or something. More importantly, they don't take Tanis back to Pandora, but to a new planet just so there's more diversity in location. Maybe like an ocean planet or something, it doesn't really matter. Tanis isn't a siren, and Ava has Angel's powers, like I said before. This could be incorporated into other missions, like maybe instead of Reese, she's the one that helps you take down the asteroid laser. After you rescue Tanis, you can go back to Pandora and assault Eclipse's base. Instead of a few turrets, the bandits have salvaged the Hyperion tech shield dome around the fortress, and it's made clear that their base is built from an old Hyperion iridium mine. Ava doesn't have enough power to get through, but a suggestion is made. Maybe by Zero to keep him relevant. Instead of a random mine, you head to Control Core Angel, now being reclaimed by nature, and probably overrun by bandits. Ellie and Tanis repurpose the machines so it can charge up Ava, and you head back to begin your assault. It's made much clearer that there's others with you, and at different points you'll be fighting alongside them. Troy isn't killed, he's knocked unconscious. Tyrene wakes up, clearly weakened but alive, and claims that you're too late, then leaves as things begin to explode in a purple light around the area. Troy is taken back to Sanctuary. Things play out similar to the game now, except the machine is on the surface and not in a cave, just so it's a bit more visually appealing. This scene plays out the same too, only this time, when Tyrene goes to leave, your character grabs her and is teleported with her. This boss fight needs to be much bigger, the Destroyer needs to be huge, and it should be made clear that Tyrene isn't actually in control, kind of like Obito when he absorbs the Ten Tails. Sanctuary and Lilith appear just as the fight ends, and Lilith gets her powers back, though she's glowing, and it's made clear that she's been supercharged by the Destroyer. She flies up to teleport the moon like before, but instead it just teleports back to its normal orbit, and it's made much clearer that Lilith is dead. While still on Necrotafeo, Tanis took the crystal that was going to power the machine and realised it could power her power transfer machine. So she powers it up and it works. But as well as giving Maya her powers back, it removes Troy's and his tattoos disappear. The Raiders have a funeral where they bury Lilith next to Roland and the credits roll. There is a post-credit scene of Troy escaping from his cell. Is this a perfect suggestion? Absolutely not, but I do think it would solve most of the problems I had with the story without completely changing it. I only did this to point out how easy it is to turn the story into something that makes a lot more sense, and how disappointing what we got was. Some of the side quests vary massively in quality, from full-out silly joke quests like killing yourself.
Been waiting for you, Vault Thief. See, it's been forever since we killed your siren friend, and my followers are chomping at the bit for a new murder vid. So, we built a death machine. Here's a sitch. Let me film you killing yourself.
You got that joke already. To completely depressing serious quests, like attending the birthday party of a dead child.
Well, good golly, more Vault Hunters at my Gracie's party. If she were alive, she'd be filling the sky with bullets and joy. Come on over and chat for a moment.
We already know the game has tonal problems, but there's quite a clash here. The trials are another mixed bag. The visuals of these locations are very impressive, and I really like the Prometheus one with the buildings unnaturally merging with the rocks. But the story of these is cryptic nonsense, and this guy sucks.
It is done, and my masters have taken note. Would you like to know what they told me right before they vanished? Beware the Vault Hunters. They will take your kind's place. Now I am free, and you are chained. Until next time, Guardian.
What do you mean by that, buddy? You're not gonna tell me, are you? I'm really conflicted on Typhon de Leon. I found him a quite funny character for the most part, and I enjoyed listening to his logs, but some of the gags around him crossed the line into stupid territory for me, which is fine in side content, but Typhon isn't side content. The prime example is his appearance, which clashes so much with the visual style of the rest of the game that it is really distracting. And the second are some of the things mentioned in his logs, mainly the fact that his primary weapon is a ham with the strength of diamond that he wears on his back.
The same person watching your back is usually the first person to stab it. That's why I always strap a Verkovian ham on my back. Hot as a rock. That back ham saved my case plenty of times. In ham I trust.
That might be too much for me. The game is pretty buggy, at least it was at launch. Several times the subtitles glitched out for me. Cars stopped making noise at one point. I once spawned outside the map after a cutscene. The game will freeze for a few seconds during combat if there's too many effects going on, and some of the visual effects will just not go away. The music will have sharp cuts between combat and roaming. Usually during combat it will suddenly flip to the roaming music, and a few times the icon for people talking would just stay even though they'd stop talking. I have a pretty high tolerance for bugs, but this was pretty bad for a high budget launch like this. And it shows that level of polish is missing from the game. Also, the final achievement was bugged for like a month, which was really fun and really great for me specifically. Cutscenes are unskippable. I cannot believe that in a 2019 release we have unskippable cutscenes. The game launched with some balancing issues. You can't sort audio logs, they just appear in the order you found them, which is really annoying, especially with the Typhon logs, which are chronological in nature. There's a few times where you need to follow an NPC, and without fail the pathfinding was really bad. At one point in my first playthrough, the guy just straight up stopped moving and I had to reload the game, and in another he didn't stop following me and I had to reload the game so I could talk to him. This is a crazy expensive price for a season pass. There better be a whole new game worth of content because I'm not spending a single penny until I see that confirmed. In the end though, I can't sit here and tell you that I hated the whole game, because I didn't. It's genuinely fun to play, the combat is engaging, and a lot of times the jokes really work for me, especially the side content. It's still got that Borderlands charm. The deathlines of enemies kept consistently making me giggle.
I am the bait, and you're the mule! Screw you, mule!
I know that humour is subjective and all that, but even if there are some jokes that don't work, most of them do, and I have to give them credit for that. The soundtrack is really, really good. There's this constant sense of flow to combat, capture the music, this must-keep-moving rhythm that keeps you constantly focused. Here's an example of some of my favourites. game looks fantastic. Even if some areas get stale after a while, they never stop looking visually impressive. And there was clearly a lot of thought put into making these combat areas fresh and engaging. There was several points in the game where I just had to stop and take in my surroundings, which is not the sort of thing I expect from a Borderlands game. I played through all of the game's content, a lot of it twice, and I can't ever claim that I was bored doing it. Undoubtedly, I will be playing it again. The story really is the breaking point here, and it just goes to show how much a bad story can affect my perception of a game. I've played and loved games with terrible gameplay for the story, and now I've played a game with a terrible story for the gameplay, and I've come to the conclusion that story is more important to my enjoyment. But maybe the same isn't true for you, and if that's the case, you'll probably like this game a lot more than me. In fact, I hope you do, it's fun. Well, that was long. And maybe a bit ranty. I've never made a video in this style before, so hopefully it comes out okay and doesn't make me look like an asshole. Regardless, I thank you for watching to the end. Maybe you would consider listening to my podcast or watching some of my videos.
A functioning pair of CL-class arm units? Maybe I'll finally know what a hug feels like.
Is cold and gray.
Go ahead and wait and see what the DLC is first.
Yeah, you know what, Kyle? I think you're kind of lying to yourself. We'll see what it is first. The DLC could be an avatar prop of one of the main characters showing the middle finger, and you would buy it.